This isn't your average game of soccer. This is a protest. Staged in front of the French Senate, these young women are taking a stand against a proposed law which could prevent them from playing the game they love, all because they choose to wear the hijab.
We will fight until the end. We will fight until every woman can play the sport that she wants to play, how she wants to play it.
TRT World reported the French Senate voted to ban the hijab for sporting events, arguing that neutrality is a requirement on the field. Take a wild guess who proposed this, and don't look too far into it. It's right-wingers.
Under current French laws, wearing the hijab is prohibited for civil servants in their place of work and in schools. The French Football Federation has also banned the hijab in official soccer clubs, despite FIFA lifting its own ban in 2014.
This is a story of discrimination.
France is a special case. Muslim women there have had their basic rights snatched away bit by bit.
Here in France, some supporters of the new law say the hijab goes against French values and could pose a threat to unity and cohesion in society.
Roughly 20 years ago, France banned hijabs in public schools. Or just 3 years ago, a law was introduced that prohibited mothers wearing hijabs from going on school trips with their children.
But a group of French women is working to change that, campaigning to open the beautiful game to all women, regardless of attire.
It's a story of targeting Muslim women in France.
Just a couple of days ago, French lawmakers proposed a law to ban hijabs in competitive sports. I guess what I'm trying to say is France has been systematically excluding Muslim women from everything.
All the way to the Olympics, female athletes are discarding dress codes. These women, including Awa and her teammates, using sports as a way to challenge patriarchal norms.
Nowadays, women are visible. We are not like the kind of hijabi they think we are, like the struggle in the house, who do housework, who don't have a life, you know. And when they see a young woman wearing it, doing sports, educated, they don't want to say that because it's in contradiction with the vision that they have of the hijab.
It's an important story in France for many of the roughly 5 million Muslims living in the country, while the Olympics are set to take place in Paris in 2024. This woman's name is Jacqueline Eustache-Brinot. She is a right-winger who supports the ban, telling CNN that the French government must have the courage to resist what she described as the Islamist grip on the country, something her party believes has taken hold in both sport and education. Because, you know, nothing says unity like some good old-fashioned discrimination, am I right? When a French mayor refused to allow the children of asylum seekers to attend nursery school and told their older siblings they can't eat in the canteen or enjoy after-class activities, Brinot chimed in, saying she cannot see why local residents should pay for these children, which are clear dog whistles. Brinot, a Republican senator, would later say radical Islamism is multifaceted and influences all aspects of social life to the point where it asserts itself at the expense of individual freedom, which sounds familiar.
There is an Islamic invasion into our government offices right now. We had that woman out of Minnesota. Now she's going into Congress and she's got to wear a head covering.
These are the driving forces and racist mentalities behind this law. Valérie Pécresse, the Republicans' presidential candidate, recently used the rhetoric of avowed white supremacists in a speech punctuated with coded attacks against immigrants and Muslims. The Great Replacement, a conspiracy theory adopted by many supremacists worldwide, has inspired mass killings in the US and New Zealand. Eric Ciotti, an advisor to Pécresse, shares the same racist views. When debating the merits of this trash amendment, Ciotti framed his argument like many others are doing, blaming non-white people. It is simply a diversion as old as time.
They're bringing drugs, they're bringing crime, they're rapists.
Donald J. Trump is calling for a total and complete shutdown of Muslims entering the United States.
Michelle Lamont concluded in her paper, in part, After analyzing Trump's 73 speeches during the 2016 electoral campaign, his political rhetoric, which led to his presidential victory, addressed the white working class's concerns with their declining position in the national pecking order. He addressed this group's concern by raising their moral status, that is, by emphatically describing them as hard-working Americans who are victims of globalization, voicing their concerns about people above, professionals, the rich, politicians, and drawing strong moral boundaries toward undocumented immigrants, refugees, and Muslims, to name a few. So what do? They frame it as, this is political speech. Sports should be neutral. What about the safety of athletes? Will someone think of the safety? Brynjo even says so herself. What we want to do is apply the article of the Olympic Charter that exists, but that no one wants to hear. Article 50 specifies that in sport, it is neither a political nor a religious element. I think that in sport and in sporting competitions, we have to maintain neutrality until the end. Yes. Let's think about safety, shall we? The French government has been criticized for its actions and rhetoric regarding Islam and Muslims, including Emmanuel Macron's October claim that Islam is in crises, raids on mosques and Islamic foundations, and a proposed anti-separatism law that would slap wide-ranging restrictions on the Muslim community. In short, it appears Macron is pandering to win votes on the far right, which of course have consequences.
Mais parfois j'ai l'impression de plus être française en fait et d'être juste musulmane. Voilà. Et ça c'est pas facile à vivre, hein?
The scourge of far-right extremism, which has targeted Muslims in particular, has increased in Europe, and recent reports show that France suffers most from this atmosphere of hatred, according to the head of the National Observatory of Islamophobia. There were 235 attacks on Muslims in France in 2020, up from 154 the previous year, a 53% jump. Attacks on mosques jumped 35% of the same year. Muslim women in France already face restrictions on what they can wear in certain places. The full Islamic veil has been banned from public places, including streets, public transport, shops, hospitals, cinemas. And that happened in France since April 2021, following a law prohibiting the concealment of the face in the public space. The French newspaper Libération published an open letter on Wednesday with the headline, "Let Women Wearing the Hijab Play." It was signed by dozens of celebrities from the world of sports. Nicolas Cadenne, co-founder of an organization that works on a better understanding of French secularism, explained that over the past few years, France has witnessed strong tensions between those who want to distance themselves from religion and those who want to affirm it, especially when it comes to Islam. Secularism is deeply ingrained in French culture, with many believing that nothing, not even one's religion, should come before national identity. He added that there was a confusion between the practice of Islam as a religion and radicalism, which some politicians are taking advantage of to portray themselves as defending a French identity threatened by foreigners. It's terrible because the French Muslims are not foreigners and there is not one single French identity, he added. It's unclear whether the hijab ban would be implemented for the 2024 Paris Olympics. The Olympic Organizing Committee did not immediately answer a request for comment. The French Soccer Federation already bans women from wearing headscarves in official matches, as well as at competitions it organizes. Recently, the Senate conceded that bitter disagreement amongst lawmakers over the proposed ban would prevent the bill from being passed in its current state. It expressed regret over the government's lack of will to put a stop to what they described as the development of Islamism in sport. The law will now be revised by the National Assembly, which is expected to have the final word. Nazma Khan, the founder of the World Hijab Day organization, told CNN, "Countries like France talk about women's empowerment, but when it comes to Muslim women, they are going backwards by marginalizing Muslim women through hijab bans."